On September 4th, a devastating event shook the small town of Winder, Georgia, when a 17-year-old student, Colt Grey, allegedly opened fire at Appalach High School, leading to multiple fatalities and injuries. This tragedy has left the community in shock and mourning, while investigators continue to uncover more details about the incident and the circumstances that led to it. The incident. According to witnesses, Grey, a transfer student who had only been attending Appalach High for a few days, left his algebra class on the morning of September 4th and returned with an assault rifle. The weapon, reportedly a Christmas gift from his father, was used to carry out the horrifying attack. Grey allegedly tried to re-enter his original classroom, but when unable to do so, went to the adjacent room and began shooting. The victims of this tragic event included two students, 14-year-olds Mason Skirhorn and Christian Angelo, as well as two teachers, Richard Aspinwall and Christina Uri. In total, 9 others were injured but are expected to make a full recovery. Immediate response. The quick actions of 2 school resource officers were pivotal in preventing even more devastating bloodshed. Upon hearing the gunshots, the officers quickly assessed the situation, bravely making their way toward the danger. Despite the chaos and fear surrounding them, they confronted Colt Grey and, with remarkable composure, managed to convince him to put down his weapon. Grey complied, laying the assault rifle on the ground without further resistance. Their swift intervention likely saved many lives that day, as Grey had the potential to cause far more harm. After his arrest, the teenager made a chilling and unremorseful statement to law enforcement, reportedly admitting, "I did it," leaving investigators and the community grappling with the sheer brutality of his actions. The charges. Grey now faces a series of severe charges, including 4 counts of felony murder. Despite his age, authorities have decided to try him as an adult. The young shooter is currently being held in a youth detention center as he awaits his next court appearance. His legal situation remains complicated, with his defense team planning to file motions regarding bond and other legal matters in the coming days. In the wake of the shooting, the Georgia Bureau of Investigation has been heavily involved in the case, and law enforcement agencies are working together to ensure that every detail is uncovered. A new emergency alert system that was installed at the school just days before the shooting may have saved lives, allowing teachers to call for help and secure the school building. A troubled family background. As more information surfaces, it becomes evident that Grey had a troubled upbringing. He was living with his father, Colin Grey, while his mother, Marcy, lived several hours away. Marcy Grey has a long criminal history, including charges related to domestic violence and aggravated battery. In one particularly disturbing incident, she was accused of attacking the 73-year-old woman, leaving her injured and tied up. Despite her criminal background, Marcy had recently been released on probation. Court records indicate that Marcy was banned from contacting Colin Grey without the involvement of a third-party mediator, a measure likely put in place due to their contentious relationship. Neighbors of the family also reported hearing frequent yelling and arguing, with some claiming that Marcy would even lock the children outside the house. Colt's father, Colin, had also faced legal issues in the past, although they were less severe. He had previously been convicted for trespassing and damage to property. It's unclear how much of an impact these family dynamics may have had on Colt, but it's apparent that the environment he grew up in was far from stable. The role of social media. Social media has played an unfortunate role in this tragedy, as reports indicate that Colt Grey had been involved in disturbing online activities prior to the shooting. In May of last year, the FBI received a tip that someone on Discord, an online platform commonly used by gamers, had threatened to shoot up a middle school. Investigators traced the threat back to an account associated with Colt Grey, though at the time, there was insufficient evidence to pursue any charges. Colt had denied making the threats, stating that he had deleted his Discord account months earlier. His father also downplayed the situation, claiming that the firearms in their home were hunting rifles and that Colt did not have unrestricted access to them. Despite these assurances, it's now clear that the situation was far more serious than anyone realized at the time. In the days following the shooting, further online threats began circulating among North Georgia school districts. One incident involved a 14-year-old from Gainesville, who was arrested after making a terroristic threat. Another case involved a 12-year-old who posted photos of guns online, leading to his detention. Law enforcement is currently investigating whether any of these threats were connected to the Appalachia High School shooting. The victims. The victims of this senseless act of violence were young lives with bright futures and educators dedicated to their students. Mason Skirhorn, one of the students killed, was only 14 years old. His family described him as a loving child who had autism and could be easily startled. In the aftermath of the shooting, there was initial hope that Mason had managed to hide, but that hope was tragically shattered when his body was found. Christian Angelo, the other student who lost his life, was also just 14 years old. His family, heartbroken by the sudden and violent loss, created a GoFundMe page to help cover the costs of his funeral. Christian's sister spoke of the deep love people had for him and how undeserving he was of such a cruel fate. The two teachers who died in the shooting were both well-loved members of the Appalachia High community. Richard Aspinwall, 39, was the high school's football team defense coordinator. He was a husband and father to two young daughters, and those who knew him described him as hardworking and kind-hearted. Christina Yuri, 53, was an algebra teacher who had been an active member of the local Romanian community. Tragically, the day of the shooting was also her birthday. She had brought a cake and pizza to share with her students, wanting to celebrate her special day with them. The aftermath. Since the shooting, the small town of Winder has come together in a collective show of mourning, solidarity, and resilience. Vigils have been organized to honor the victims, with candlelight ceremonies bringing together students, parents, teachers, and community members to pay their respects and share in the grief. One of the most poignant vigils was held at the school's flagpole, where tearful students gathered to remember their fallen peers and teachers, leaving flowers, cards, and photos as tributes. Another larger vigil, set for the upcoming weekend, will be held at a local park and is expected to draw even more members of the community seeking solace and unity. In the aftermath, grief counselors have been made available to provide much-needed emotional support, not only to the students and staff directly impacted by the violence, but also to families and residents struggling with the trauma. The emotional toll has been immeasurable, with many in the town still reeling from the shock, grappling with how such a horrific act of violence could shatter the peace of their close-knit community. This tragic event has left a lasting impact on the Winder community, and our hearts go out to all the families and individuals affected. As more details continue to emerge, we'll keep you updated with the latest developments. If you found this video informative and want to stay updated on stories like this, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. Make sure to turn on the notification bell so you never miss an update. Thanks for watching, and stay safe out there.